Hi everyone, and thanks for joining. Now today's episode we're going to talk about diversification. Diversification comes up a lot when investing, whether short term or long term, and in different styles of investing too. Now some of you may have seen this table before, but if you haven't, it can look quite crazy at first glance. However, I find it really interesting and definitely paints a great picture for the need to be diversified. I'll be going through this today. Another common theme is a question of how many stocks should I have in my portfolio. It's something that I've questioned myself recently. I'll also be showing you how to create a diversified portfolio with exposure to each sector. And later on in the video, I'll be giving you a peek at the major changes that have taken place in a portfolio, so stick around to see that. So getting straight to it, guys. Each colour you see here represents a different sector in the stock market. One thing that is clear is there is no standout pattern or correlation here, which you can see, which is all the way back from 2007. Now, for those of you that aren't familiar with the sectors, I'm going to do a quick recap so you can follow this easier. So first up, we've got consumer discretionary, which is stuff that you don't really need to live. So Amazon, Home Depot, Netflix, Nike, McDonald's, Starbucks, all of these are in that sector. Consumer staples, stuff you might actually need to survive without being a caveman. So we've got Procter & Gamble here, Costco, Colgate, Kimberly-Clark, Pepsi, and more. Healthcare, which everyone will need at some point in their life, some form of healthcare. We've got Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer, Merck, AbbVie, and so on. Industrials, which is stuff used in construction or manufacturing. We have here Lockheed Martin, 3M, Caterpillar, etc. Information tech, which is stuff we all seem to need now. We have Apple, Microsoft, Google, Facebook, PayPal, and so on. Then we've got materials, which is discovering, developing and processing raw materials. We have PPG here. We also have International Paper and a few others. Then we have real estate investment trusts, which is a company that owns, operates or finances income producing properties. We've got Realty Income here, Well Tower, Simon Property, Digital Realty Trust also. Then we've got communication services, which in this sector is literally just AT&T and Verizon. Please bear in mind this is just companies from the S&P 500. Then we go to utilities, which is stocks that provide a basic service. So we have here Next Era Energy, Duke Energy, we've got American Water as well. Then we go to financials, which is banks, investment companies, etc. So we've got JP Morgan, we've got Wells Fargo, Citigroup, and American Express. Then we go to energy, so stocks related to producing or supplying energy. We've got Chevron and Exxon. We also have Phillips 66 in here, and you get the kind of idea of what other stocks would be in here. So what we're going to do now, guys, is quickly go over and build a quick portfolio which would be diversified in each of these sectors. So here we go. We're going to start with consumer discretionary. So in that sector, we will have McDonald's and Home Depot. Then we go over to consumer staples, which would contain Walmart and Procter & Gamble. Then healthcare, we've got AbbVie and Johnson & Johnson. Then we head over and have Caterpillar and 3M and Industrials. Then we have information tech, we've got Microsoft and Apple. Then with materials, we've got PPG and International Paper. Then in our REIT sector, we have Realty Income and Digital Realty Trust. Then the only two that we can have in our communication services, which is AT&T and Verizon. Our utilities contain Duke Energy and Next Era Energy. In our financials, we've got Bank of America and JP Morgan. And in our energy, we have Exxon and Chevron. So with this, guys, all dividend paying companies with an annual return on average of 10.93%, which isn't too bad. So it's as simple as that, really. With just two stocks from each sector, you can build a portfolio, quite a defensive portfolio, but of a decent annual average return as well. Bear in mind, these are all companies from the S&P 500. Obviously, if you wanted to diversify with other companies from Europe or what have you, then that would obviously be a smart move to make also. So now we'll have more of a clear understanding of which companies are within each sector. So as you can see here, the top of each column here is the leading sector for that year, up until we have the first half of 2020 here. So in the first half of 2020, you can see information technology is top at the moment, and was the same in 2019. But what we can see here is in 2011, utilities came out top. Then the next year they was bottom. So if you held utility companies in 2011 and done very well, the next year they was the worst performing in the market. So that just shows the importance of not having all your eggs in one basket and having a diversified portfolio, because anything can happen year to year. Now, some investors believe that if you've got enough conviction in the companies that you are buying, then there is no need to be diversified. So if you have done your research into the companies that you're putting your hard-earned cash into, then there's no real need to be diversified, as you'd be more or less certain that the company is going to be successful, which echoes the opinion of the great man here, Warren Buffett.
But so there's nothing magic. We like to put a lot of money in things that we feel strongly about, and that gets back to the diversification question. We think diversification is, as practiced generally, makes very little sense for anyone that knows what they're doing. Diversification is a protection against ignorance. I mean, if you want to make sure that nothing bad happens to you relative to the market, you own everything. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that is a perfectly sound approach for somebody who does not feel they know how to analyze businesses. If you know how to analyze businesses and value businesses, it's crazy to own 50 stocks or 40 stocks or 30 stocks probably, because there aren't that many wonderful businesses that are understandable to a single human being in all likelihood. And to have some super wonderful business and then put money in number 30 or 35 on your list of attractiveness and forego putting more money into number 1 just strikes Charlie and me as madness.
So there you have it. There's a vast difference in the investing community on diversification and whether you need to be diversified or not. Now, taking a look at Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway company, the amount of companies that they hold in their portfolio, you'd probably argue that he is quite diversified. So there's around about 43 companies here across different sectors. So I would take some of that with a pinch of salt. However, I am on board with what he's saying. With each stock that you do own, it's important to have enough conviction in them that you're happy and comfortable to ride them out through the long term, 5-10 years, and still expect that company to still be around. However, it's open to interpretation and depends on your personal goals and your time horizon for investing in that company. So from a traditional mindset with Warren Buffett, I thought it was only necessary to talk about the future, and ARK Invest do play a role in that. Currently, ARK Invest basically have a range of ETFs that are focused on disruptive innovation, which is quite interesting. It's interested me and to see the companies that they have focused their investments on. They're basically focusing on companies that are playing a key role in next generation internet, DNA sequencing, automation, energy storage and blockchain technology. As you can see throughout history here, main innovations that have changed the world, you have the telephone, aeroplane, television, the internet, mobile phone, all of these things here, which in a sense had disrupted the world in traditional ways of life. As an investor, I'm personally always thinking forward and thinking of the next big thing and companies that are innovating frequently and trying to push the world and technology forward. So I think there's a great capacity for growth in some of these companies, and it's quite interesting to see where they have invested into, and would recommend looking on the ARC website and looking across their portfolios and checking out the companies that they have been heavily investing into. So with today's episode, guys, I don't think there is a real conclusion to whether or not you have to have a diversified portfolio or not. I think it comes down to your personal goals and your time horizon as well, and what you plan to do with your investments. However, I wanted it to be a thought-provoking episode to maybe make you think of your investments, your portfolio. Can you do anything or change anything to make it more stable, or maybe get better returns for you in your portfolio? So as promised, guys, here is my portfolio currently. Please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. The next episode that I do will be uncovering my portfolio and the moves and changes that I've made. Okay, so you can obviously see at the start of the episode we had 42 investments, we're down to 15. So there's reasonings behind that and reasonings to what's happened in the portfolio. So I'll catch you in the next episode. Subscribe, like, follow me on Instagram and Twitter, and hopefully I'll see you soon.